Now, let's get back to the blood moon. I told you at the beginning of this what these terms in Genesis chapter 1. It talks about signs and seasons, what those Hebrew words mean, okay? Watch, this is good, guys. Don't leave me yet. I've got some stuff here, okay? Now, okay, number one, people, for whatever reason, I don't know if this got circulated on the internets and blogs, chat rooms. No doubt that it did, and even the mainstream media took this and they ran with it and they fabricated it. But there was a lot of chatter and fabrications out there saying that when the fourth blood moon appeared in the sky, that the Lord was going to come back, or the rapture of the church was going to happen. How many heard that? You heard that on blogs, you heard that on chats, you've heard that circulated across the internet. Guys, again, I'm going to say this again. This is nothing new. It happens every single year during the Feast of Trumpets and during the Feast of Tabernacles and during Rosh Hashanah. Every single year. Mark my words. Record this broadcast. Save it in the archives. If the Lord does not come back in the next 12 months, you will see it again. Come September and October, you will see a whole flood of the same false prophets that got up and circulated their false prophecy of the Lord coming back and the rapture of the church happening, and they failed and they go into hiding for 9 months, and then 3 months prior to the feast coming again, they'll come out of hiding and they'll make another blog. Come on, they'll make another video and they'll say Jesus is coming back on the Feast of Trumpets and this is why, and they'll do their mathematical equations and show why he'll come on this exact date because of this exact alignment and because of this exact scenario. Or they'll say that this is going to happen. Or listen, or the same individuals will come out and say that there's going to be an asteroid hit the earth. Listen, I just did an article on that on End Time Headlines. I heard this preached that there was going to be an asteroid hit, and I kept saying no, it's not. And people, I'm telling you, I got emails, I got messages calling me a false prophet because I wouldn't tell the people that an asteroid was going to hit the earth when I disproved it and said that there was not going to be no asteroid hit the earth because it's not biblical, because we're not in the tribulation, guys. We're not in the tribulation. I don't care what the guy on TBN says. He's got a whole show and a program trying to convince you that we're in the tribulation. No, if we were in the tribulation, do you really think we'd be periscoping and having a good time, going out to dinner with our friends, getting ready to celebrate Thanksgiving, watching television, watching movies, playing video games? Come on, somebody. Really? We're in the tribulation? Have you read the book of Revelation? Have you read the book of Daniel and read the things that are going to happen just in the first 42 months, and you're going to convince me that we're in the tribulation? No, we're not in the tribulation. So again, this is what I want to improvise. So all the scoffers and the mockers that are attacking people like me and attacking people like Perry Stone and attacking other individuals, Mark Biltz and Jonathan Cahn, who has been watchmen on the wall, giving warnings and saying to the people, not that the Lord's coming back during the blood moon, not that the rapture of the church is coming back in the blood moon. They are getting up and we're standing up and saying there is a biblical pattern. There is these seasons, there's these cycles, and there is history backing up that when these things happen, there has been events that took place during these events. Again, I want to say that not one of these individuals, not Perry Stone, not Jonathan Cahn. Listen, I have no ties with them. I don't get kickbacks from them. They're not here with me. I don't have their personal phone numbers. But again, they are my fellow watchmen. I am a watchman. They are a watchman. So when you attack them, you attack me, because I know Perry Stone real well, and I know that he's a man of God. I know that he's solid, and I'm telling you, there is, if you've never read the Harbinger, just for example, Harbinger and the Shmi, listen, the history speaks for itself. Let me show you. Now, so what I want to say is, first of all, for all the people that come out and says, and I saw the blogs, guys, I saw the Facebook messages, I saw the Twitter posts, and they said, I'm tired of all these people, and the blood moon came and there was no demons unleashed in hell, no cataclysmic events happened, no catastrophic wars broke out, and the Lord didn't come back. It's all a sham, and they're just writing books, and they're just trying to make money. Well, listen, I can't speak for Jonathan Cahn. I can't speak for Perry Stone. I can't speak for John Hagee. I can't speak for Mark Biltz, and I can't speak for all the other cats out there that wrote books on the blood moons. But I can speak for Ricky Scaparo of End Time Headlines. I never wrote one book on the blood moons, nor did I make any profit from selling books on the blood moons. So I have no dog in the fight. What I'm trying to tell you is to listen, when Jesus said, when you begin to see these things coming to pass, you need to lift up your head, for your redemption is drawing near. Now, secondly, here's what other people are not saying that I'm going to tell you. Okay, first of all, I'm going to take you back to 3 events when there was a tetrad of 4 blood moons during Jewish feast days. And I want to show you something that other people are not pointing out. Okay, in 1492 was the expulsion of the Jews, or the Spanish Inquisition took place in 1492. Guys, again, according to NASA, the tetrad of 4 blood moons happened from 1493 to 1494. Did you catch that? It didn't happen on the very day of the blood moon. It happened somewhere between 12 to 15 months in that cycle. Again, in that season. It was in that time frame. Okay? So, listen, you can get up and say, well, I tell you what, they're all false prophets because nothing happened on the blood moon. Well, just hold on and chill out a little bit. We ain't out of the woods yet, buddy. We've got some time. Let's give it a little bit of time. Come and talk to me in 12 months, because the last time I checked, when these 4 blood moons, when the other 3 started manifesting, there was a group that came out of nowhere that nobody on the face of the earth heard anything about, and it was called ISIL, or the Islamic State, whatever you want to call them. Okay, I call them the precursor, the kingdom of the beasts that are cutting saints' heads off, that's mentioned in the book of Revelation for the saints that will be beheaded for their testimony to Jesus Christ. No one heard of ISIS until they started manifesting during this cycle of these 3 blood moons. Okay, Ebola. We've all heard of Ebola, but not in America. Are you kidding me? Ebola came to the very shores of America and became a pandemic of fear that gripped America because it killed so many individuals overseas. Ebola was manifest during this time. Wars and rumors of wars escalated to a new level during these first 3 blood moons. So here we go. The 4th blood moon. Again, 1492, Spanish Inquisition. Let me say this first real quick. Again, I forgot to say this. This is extremely important. Blood moons are extremely important because they're associated with Israel, not America, not Russia, not China, not North Korea. Israel. Again, how do I know? Where are you getting this? Again, rabbinical teaching teaches that blood moons are, remember, one of the Hebrew definitions, let me go back. Okay, one of the Hebrew definitions of the word sign, okay, and I showed you this in Genesis chapter 1, is an omen. Rabbis teach that blood moons, especially that are visible in Israel on a feast day, which this one was, this 4th blood moon was visible in Israel on the Feast of Tabernacles, is an omen to the nation of Israel of either pending war or significant events on the horizon that will deal with the nation of Israel. Okay, again, I'm taking you back. 1492, the Spanish Inquisition took place, and then from 1493, 1494. So here's an event that took place before the blood moons was manifested, but it was in the same time frame. Okay, let's accelerate. Again, according to NASA, 1949 and 1950, you had this sequence of 4 blood moons. Well, you know what happened the year before 49? It was 1948 when Israel became a nation. Again, it was during that 12 to 15 month time frame. Okay, and then in 1967, there was the 6 Day War, and you had 67 to 68. Again, was this tetrad that came, and it was the 4 blood moons. Okay, so again, all you trigger happy people who want to bash the Watchmen and come against people who are simply sounding the alarm, and you want to come out and attack these men of God and these women of God and calling them charlatans and heretics and false prophets and every other name out there, you just need to chill out and hold on, because again, I just showed you 3 examples where it was in a time frame of 12 to 15 months. Yes, just like Noah. Noah preached, and he said that there was coming a flood on the earth, and it was going to wipe out all of humanity, and the people laughed him to scorn because it had never rained on the face of the earth in which would cause a flood like this. So for 100 years, guys, Noah preached, and he preached, and he preached, and the people mocked him. They laughed at him. They called him names. They ridiculed him. But the book of Jasher says that when Noah and his family got into the ark, one morning, Noah got up. And I know you won't find this in the Bible, but I'm going to go ahead and preach it anyway. Noah got up one day and he said, God, I'm tired of this. It's been 100 years and I keep telling these people that you're going to flood the earth, and you're sick of it, and you're tired of the violence and the destruction that you're seeing, and the whole face of the earth is full of violence, and you're going to wipe it out and start all over again. And I keep warning them to repent and keep telling them to turn back to you. And they just call me names. They call me a false prophet. They call me a heretic, and they say they say I'm a bigot. They say I'm a hate monger. I'm intolerant, and I just need to love everybody, and I need to quit talking about judgment. I need to just keep preaching everybody happy, and why can't we all get along and just partake of everybody's sins like they did, in the New Testament, at Mars Hill that Paul encountered. And I can see this. Noah gets up one day and he's like, I'm fed up. I'm done. I'm sick of this. And God says, Noah, it's time. Go ahead and get in that ark that you've been building. You and your sons have been building this ark for 100 years. And I know you're getting weary and well-doing, but in due season you'll reap if you faint not. So go ahead and get in the ark. Go ahead and get your family in the ark. And when I tell you, get ready to shut the door, because when I burst the fountains of the deep open, there's not going to be any time to repent. They're going to come running to you. But listen, you get in the ark. So guys, the book of Jasher says that Noah got in the ark, and the window, and God himself shut the door of the ark. And the book of Jasher says that 700,000 screaming individuals came running and slamming on the ark, saying, let us in the ark, let us in the ark. But it was too late. The door was shut. Come on. In the New Testament, Matthew chapter 25, the 10 virgins, they played around. Come on. They played church. They mocked. They scorned. And they didn't have enough oil in their lamps. But my Bible says that at midnight, the bridegroom came, and he sounded the trumpet, and the bridegroom was announced. And then the Bible says that only half of them came in, and the other half stood at the door knocking, and the Lord stood there. The bride the groom looked at those that were supposed to be in the bride. He says, I knew you not. Come on, somebody. Listen, here's what I'm trying to tell you. Quit jumping the gun. Don't eat crow. I'm telling you, the very words that you're condemning other individuals are going to come back to condemn you. I'm trying to help somebody out. But here's where I want to give you a word of encouragement. Come on, this is what's going to excite you. It should. Listen, when I see these blood moons, when I see the signs in the heavens, I don't have this doomed expectation of impending judgment and wrath of God. Listen, is God going to come with fiery vengeance and judgment? Yes. Is God going to reconcile Is he going to reconcile? Yes. Is he going to avenge the blood of the martyrs? Yes. Is he going to swing his sickle? Yes. Does judgment begin in the house of the Lord? Yes. Listen, I'm not undermining nor diminishing judgment. I believe it. I preach it. I teach it. And I'm seeing it. But here's what I want to tell you. Joel said this. Everybody's focused on the blood moon, gloom, doom, despair, destruction, and judgment. But listen, I'm not looking for gloom, doom, destruction, and judgment. Here's what I'm looking for. Joel chapter 2 says, and it shall come to pass afterward that I'll pour out my spirit upon all flesh. Your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams. Your old men, yes, dream dreams, and your young men shall see visions. And all my men servants and maid servants, I'll pour out my spirit upon those days. Listen, right in the midst of an outpouring, he says, I'll show wonders in the heavens and in the earth, blood, fire, and pillars of smoke. The sun shall be turned into darkness and the moon into blood. Before, come on somebody, before, not after, before the coming of the great and awesome day of the Lord. And it shall come to pass that whosoever calls upon the name of the Lord shall be saved. So listen, yes, these are awesome signs in the heavens. These are fearful and great signs. Luke chapter 21 says you'll see great and fearful signs in the heavens prior to the coming of the Son of Man. But what I get excited about, guys, is right in the midst of the blood moons, right in the midst of all these things, he said, I'll pour out my spirit upon all flesh. And it's going to affect sons. It's going to affect daughters. It's going to affect maidservants. It's going to affect men servants. It's going to affect every generation, young, old, rich, poor, free, and bond. It's going to affect all of us, guys. So that's what I'm excited about. I'm not looking for the judgment. I'm looking for the outpouring. And you say, well, how can you say that? Because I know what side of the tracks I'm on. Come on. I know who I'm in covenant with. I know who I'm serving. And if I have a covenant with him, then I'm like the Israelites in the Old Testament. Come on, the cattle were dropping dead in Egypt, but they were living in Goshen. There was darkness in Egypt, but there was light in Goshen. Come on, there was flies in Egypt, but there was not in Goshen. When there was death in Egypt, there was life in Goshen. When everybody was going broke in Egypt, come on, over here in Goshen, it says the Lord led them out with silver and gold, and there was not one feeble one among them. So, guys, again, this is what I want to encourage you with. This is what I wanted to encourage you with, guys. I'm telling you, listen, the scoffers are going to scoff. The mockers are going to mock. Peter said, knowing this, scoffers will come in the last days, walking according to their own lust, saying, where is the promise of his coming? Have we not been seeing this? Oh, I've heard this. I had a guy tell me, I've heard this for 40 years. I've heard this stuff since I was a little kid, and I'm sick of hearing about it, and Jesus ain't coming back. Again, that joker would have never made it during the time of Noah, because Noah preached 100 years. Listen, I got a whole message. I may preach this tomorrow night. I got a whole message on patience. I know nobody wants to talk about that, but patience and waiting. Because, listen, it's between, I'm going to tell you what, watch this. Before Joseph ever had a voice, he had a dream, and between the dream and the voice, there was a thing called the process. And in the midst of the process, packaged up with a bow, was called the waiting. And listen, that's a whole other message. I'm going to tell you, you don't want to miss this message, because many times, and I'll just throw out this nugget on this, many times people lose out in the waiting process, and it's during the waiting process that they birth Ishmaels, because they're not willing to wait for the Isaacs. Let me say that again. They birth the Ishmaels because they don't wait for the promise. Instead of getting the Isaac, they birth an Ishmael because they lose it in the waiting process. So again, I'm going to do a whole message